especially from the examples. First of all, I reiterate that this is false independence because I told you that you cannot leave your parents' house when you are still relying on their paycheck. That's why we leave when we were 20, 18, thereabout. And economy is a source of freedom. If you give me money, you give me freedom. Even the Bible, the prodigal son asked for his father's wealth first before he said he was free. So the fact that the global economy is still being controlled by these people, we are not free. So he said our leaders are free to do what they do. No, they are being led from the West. And then he talks about Ethiopia not being colonized, but it was neocolonized because of the fact that if you look at the financial architecture, even the dollar effect, the euro effect, we are not living in your own cocoon anymore. You live in a global village, so it's being determined. Ethiopia don't live in a vacuum. So all institutions in Ethiopia, call it military, police, is being controlled by the Western institutions. You have no seat in the UN Security Council. And you have no say. You have to comply. Even if Ethiopia wants to go for war with Kenya, the UN Security Council has to give them permission. Can you imagine they're telling us we are free? I'm sure we are only free to talk, but we're not free actually to determine our future. And then another thing is that when, as he said, when the US head of state lands here, I'm sure you are here when Obama landed here, all of a sudden our security system were given to them. They were handed over the airspace, the land, the sea. Our telecoms were disrupted. You could not pick a call. Is this freedom? Gentlemen, if we do say we are free Africans, I'm sure we are the worst slaves, if at all we believe, because I'd rather be a free person than to say that I'm a well-fed slave. So at the moment, Africans are just well-fed slaves. They are taking all dangles from the West, and they take it seriously. Libya, the example you gave, how far did Gaddafi survive? He was overthrown. And who overthrew him? The West. So how free are you, even not to determine your own leadership? If they disagree with the philosophy of the West, you are done. Rwanda, for example, is not free because Rwanda is having a lot of control from the West. I see many Africans saying they are free. They put in a suit like me, which is a British suit, and they use British accent, American accent, to really say colonialism are out of there and they are free. Why don't you stand here and defend yourself in your mother tongue to each other? Why is this debate not done in Luo or in, for example, in Hausa language or something? I believe that the fact that these people had come to us, let's accept that neocolonialism is dealing with us, because the first thing to change is to accept that it is my situation. So I'm requiring my sister Ndu to first of all believe that your situation is. There's what we call a grow model. The grow is goal. What is our goal? Is to be developed, isn't it? The second thing is R is reality. What's our reality? Our reality is that colonialism has impeded our structures. If we don't see it, we can't change it. Then the second thing, alternative. Which option do we have? Either to stay and agree with them, or stay in denial like Ndu is doing, or at least change something. And then last, what is the will? What are we willing to pay for? What price can we pay to overcome this situation? So I'm asking you that by denying us this chance, and by believing that we are free, it is actually a false freedom. And let me tell you very clearly that there are so many scholars who have written about lack of freedom in Africa. In fact, you heard about Not Yet Uhuru. It's a book well published. I guess maybe I would urge my colleague Ndu to read this book. What Not Yet Uhuru is, at the moment, to become president in Kenya, in Africa, you have to go to the US. Look at what was happening when our leaders went to UK for burial. What did they do? They simply were put in a bus. Of course, it is fair, but why did some people come in their own motorcade? Joe Biden arriving in 60 cars. Then they talk about climate change. They tell Africa about how we need to cut our carbon emissions so that we can grow. And they use the very carbon emission to grow their economies. We are being controlled in any single decision we make. IMF has laundered money to Kenya. They told you now you cannot do subsidies. You have to raise your taxes. So what we are seeing here is you're being told, do this. Borrow money from the Western powers. That money has been repatriated from your very country. For example, the minerals in DRC, the one I mentioned, they are being taken from DRC and there. In Nigeria, they export oil, then they buy oil from these people. Is that freedom? Why don't you process your own oil and do your own stuff? So what I'm trying to say, Africa, wake up, my dear. We need to wake up and see and smell the coffee and see that it is not good, it is bad. And I want to end by saying there are two ways of looking at life. There's what you call pessimism and there's what you call optimism. Optimism is what my colleague Ndu is saying. You are inside a net, mosquito net, and there's a mosquito in your net. It's going to bite you. Then you say, let me sleep. Hopefully the mosquito will die. That's what she's trying to tell us. But pessimists will say, if I don't wake up and smash this mosquito, it will bite me. And that's what I'm trying to say as an African. Let us look at this as a pessimist approach, because pessimism just preach hope and the Bible. And Africa, hope is not your strategy. It has never taken any country anywhere. Let's be deliberate. Thank you.